What's up, everyone? It is your girl Gel Beauty 87 here, aka Grace, and it's time for another eyeshadow Verzuz. So no, I did not forget about eyeshadow Verzuz last month in October. See, what had happened was I figured it was spooky season and you wouldn't care about an eyeshadow Verzuz, so I was like, we just gonna skip it this month. Plus, I had a whole bunch of stuff going on in October. If y'all noticed, I didn't have my shorts going up every day on YouTube like I was supposed to at 2 a.m. and all the other stuff because there was a whole bunch of stuff going on. Okay, leave me alone. So we back at it. I found some more brands to do eyeshadow Verzuz for. I'm actually about to film 4 intros to 4 different eyeshadow Verzuz, so I got them going to next year. I've already prepared myself and I'm hoping we can keep it going, but it's hard trying to find brands sometimes, but you know, I found some this time. So I'm gonna shout out the honorable mention palettes first, but this eyeshadow Verzuz is actually gonna be 2 of my favorite brands that come up with unique and fun color stories. So it is Unearthly Cosmetics versus Mented Cosmetics. So if y'all don't know, I own so many palettes from both of these brands. I love both of these brands. I think Hayden is wonderful. I think it's Lori and Dana are wonderful as well. They are the owners of Mented Cosmetics, and Hayden is the owner of Unearthly Cosmetics. So I went through my collection last night. I don't know why I was up that time of night. Well, yeah, I do know. I'm used to having to work at that time of night, and I don't have to this week, and I'm super excited and don't know what to do with myself. So since I'm used to being up anyway, I was just like up like la la eyeshadow palettes, la la la. So then I went through my collection. I was like, wait, a lot of these Unearthly palettes look really similar to these Melt palettes. You know what time it is? I know what time it is. It's eyeshadow Verzuz time. So here we are. These are the honorable mention palettes though first, because if you all remember, if you know what the real blueprint looks like, then you know, if you watch my video on how I recreated eyeshadow palettes in my collection, because Melt palettes you can take out the shades just like you can in ColourPop palettes and in some Unearthly palettes. So I decided I was going to remake my blueprint. So this is what my blueprint actually looks like, because I feel like this is more true and realistic to a blueprint palette. If you all know blueprints, then you know like they usually have blue writing on top of white paper, so I feel like the grayish silver would go in nicely with that term. I assume they just put browns in with it because browns and blue do go well pretty nicely, and then that way, you know, like you have the pop of blue effect in the palette, and you can say there's color for the people who like color and there's neutrals for the people who like neutrals. So I'm assuming that's why they made the palette the way they did. However, we know me, I don't want that. I don't want browns. Hello, the skin is brown, which means the eyelid came brown included. Thank you. It's not sold separately. So I did not need or want that. So when I got the Millennial Pinks on sale for like 25 bucks on their website when I bought something else, I was just like, we just take the grays out of that and switch this. I actually switched around a couple of other palettes. I made a video on it. I don't know if I ever actually uploaded it or edited it yet, so it'll be coming eventually, girl. Like sometimes I'll make a whole bunch of stuff and newer things will come out, so my other ideas just sit on a flash drive, because I swore I saw this on a SD card last night about how I talked to y'all about these, but I didn't actually edit that video and put it up. So hopefully it's coming soon, or maybe I didn't, I just don't remember. But this is what it looks like now, and I feel like I made it look really similar to Hayden's palette right here, minus the purples. Obviously I did more blue heavy. She has like a couple of pops of blue and then purples or whatever, but I tried to make mine more blueprint-esque looking. But as you see, they look quite similar, so I feel like if I took like the purples out of Hayden's palette, these palettes would pretty much be the same. If I just added like blues where the purples are and just different forms of blues, then these palettes would look the same. So I figured we could count it, but since I made it myself, I didn't want to count it. That's why it's just an honorable mention. But I still got like 4 other sets of palettes to talk about because they have similar color stories to them. So I figured I'd show you just for the hell of it, because we're here, you're here, I'm here, everyone's here. But we're not going to include that in how we're ranking them. That's why I just showed it. Now we're going to start with the ones we actually rank. So the first ones I have to rank are more of my color story when it comes to mauve, the neutrals, or whatever. So they both put their own spins on mauve, and I like both of them for each reason. So we're going to start with the Unearthly Cosmetics Sleepover Palette. If you all remember, I was so happy to get this palette. I love that she did a more neutral color story, because I figured this is what neutral is to her. Like this is what neutral is to me. Why I'm doing all the air quotes, I don't know. But when I do neutrals, anybody who's been on this channel for any amount of time knows these are my type of neutrals. I do a more mauve-esque type neutral. I'm not with the browns. And if I do like browns, they have to be like cool tone, taupey, ashy-ish, but still work for my skin tone somehow type neutrals. But this is what she looks like on the inside. I think this palette is absolutely stunning. The only shade I don't like is the shade that's the name of the palette, which is Sleepover, because I just have a hatred of sequin shadows. It's just a me thing, you know. That's not Hayden's problem. It's a me thing. So I really like this, but the good thing is this is one of those you could pop out. So if I find another shadow on another one of her palettes that I like, I can pop it in here and take that one away. I was thinking about doing that with the what is it, Smells Like Holiday Spirit palette. But anyway, y'all know how these videos go. This is number 6, so I feel like you should know by now. So we're gonna rank the artwork color salon. And I always shout out Hayden because I feel like she always is inclusive when it comes to her artwork. So I'll have like 2 or 3 people of 3 different shades and ethnicities. Like you see, she has the lighter skin model, she has more of a medium tan model, and then she has someone that is representative of myself and the rest of the African American community. So what I can first of all just appreciate that, because we all know Mel Cosmetics don't have nobody looking like me working for them, and their packaging is usually just like generic stuff. So I appreciate Hayden for always including people and giving help to other small businesses, because she always has an artist do her packaging. So 10 out of 10 for Hayden just with that, because I feel like she's always inclusive with the packaging, and I feel like she does a good job with her color story. So like I said, this is gonna get a 10 from me. So far this gets like 2 points because the packaging is getting a point, and then the color story is getting a point, even though I don't like this one shade. If all I have to say is one bad thing about one shade, and this is a 9-pan palette, you did that, Hayden. Okay, I'm here for it. I'm loving it. Thank you so much. So the price point of her palettes are always really reasonable as well. And if you don't know, I got a couple of friends who have codes with this brand. So if you need a discount code, say it with me now. We all know the first code I'm going to mention. It is who? It is my girl Karen Harris, none other than Cage Makeup. Make sure you use code Cage Makeup when you buy this, or you can use my girl Kara or Beauty and the Frizz's code, which I believe her code is Frizz Face. So you can either use Frizz Face or you can use Cage Makeup. As I've told you all in the past, I alternate and use both because I like both of them. I don't mind supporting both of them. So I don't remember whose code I use for this one, but I use one or the other codes that I just named to you, and you should do the same. So use code Cage Makeup, use code Kara for these lovely purchases. Now, when it comes to this palette, I'm actually not a huge fan of this palette. When they came out with this stack like this, because if you all are new to Mel Cosmetics or you've never heard of Mel Cosmetics, you stumbled upon this video, I don't know how you wouldn't, because they're in 4, but you know, they started off making these stacks of eyeshadows. Matter of fact, I think I have one here. Hold please. As usual, when I prepared over the video, they just latch. Yeah, just latch. Let me get it. Yeah, so they used to have their eyeshadows in stacks like this, and like the cool thing about these is you're supposed to be able to slide them like so, and the magnet stick. Ooh. I didn't do that well, that's why it didn't stick, but as you see, it sticks, and then you just slide it, and it has eyeshadows in it. So this is what it looks like. As you can see, they're all sticking together, and that's how you carry your eyeshadows. The only thing is traveling with these would be horrible, because it's like if it breaks apart, then you know your eyeshadows probably have bigs in them and everything else. But they started off like that, and when they had a stack of this same palette, I didn't buy it. So the only reason I ended up getting this was because it went on sale for 20% off somehow. I forgot where, and I ended up buying it to do a video with. So I'm not mad about the color story. It's just I would prefer to have like a little bit more lightness, because it's like when I do neutrals like this, I like to have lighter tones, and I feel like there's only like these 2 light tones for me to choose from, and the rest of it has to be dark and grungy, and I prefer lighter shimmers too. Like I don't want all dark shimmers, like there's only 2 light shimmers. So I always feel myself just using this half of the palette and rarely touching this side, because I don't like the fact that there's so many dark shimmers. So I'm only going to give this palette a 1, because the color story is fine. I'm not crazy about the packaging, and I'm not crazy about the fact that there's so many deep shimmers. So they have one in let me see, Unearthly has like 2 or 3, because if I remember, I was grading on price as well. I haven't shot one of these in a month, so it's been a little minute, girl, work with me. But I feel like they have 3 Unearthly Cosmetics, and then Melt has 1, because I only like the color story. I'm not really crazy about the packaging. It's just okay. And then I think this is like a $48 palette. And you know, it's not like that's one of the palettes that's bad quality, but the fact that they have like good to bad quality, or mediocre quality, then crappy quality, then okay quality, kind of like ColourPop does, is another reason I'm not like putting it high up there, because it's like the color story is okay. I'm not that crazy about the packaging. Then the fact that your formulas are iffy sometimes, and I feel like Hayden's are rarely, if ever, iffy. That's why she's getting 3, and that's why Melt's getting 1. So the next 2 we have to talk about is the Unearthly Cosmetics Leather and Lace palette up against the Melt Cosmetics Gemini volume 2, or Gemini 2. So when I first looked at these in the middle of the night, I was like, am I making this up, or do they look really similar? But then again, I thought about it. I was like, take out the green, and I see pretty close to the same color story, or maybe take out the middle and you'll see the same color story. Because see, if you cover up the shimmers, I feel like you see a lot of the same mattes in here, or maybe it's just me, but I feel like they look similar in comparison, and if I just covered up like certain things in the palette based upon the look way Hayden has laid out, I feel like they would look the same. So again, we're gonna start off with Unearthly Cosmetics. So here is what I think of this palette. Now this wasn't one I rushed out to get. Like I think she ended up having a 20 or 30% off sale on her website, because Hayden's usually pretty good about giving sales on the website. So I caught this, I'm pretty sure, and she gives like really good sales. She'll give 20 to 30% off. So I got this one at 30% off. The crazy thing I wasn't crazy about getting it, and I've used this palette like quite a bit, considering I didn't rush out to get it as soon as it comes out the way I normally do with her palettes. Because she's one of the indie brands, like as soon as I hear it's coming out, I'm on the website at 12 o'clock. Like, Hayden, where is it? Is it far? Did you put it in my mailbox 5 minutes after I ordered this from you? Like, I need it. So I really like the quality of this one. The quality is really nice in here. The shimmers are really nice in here. I like the way she laid it out. To me, it's giving what is that brand called? It's giving Blend Bunny vibes when it comes to the way it's laid out, because you got your like your light one, your deeper one, and then your outer V shade. So you got your outer V shade, you got your like crease shade, you got your brow bone shade, and then you got your inner corner and lid shade. So I really like this palette for that reason. The formula here is really nice. I am going to give it a 2 though, because I feel like the price point I got it was great, and it's a great price point for the palette. And the color story is okay. It's just I wasn't in a rush to get it the way I normally am with the other stuff, which is why I'm giving it 2 instead of a 3, because normally I've been all about it, grabbing, rushing to go get it, but it's like I was kind of just like, oh, okay, it's here, it looks nice, if I can get it on sale I'll buy it, but I didn't rush out to get it. So that's why it's getting a 2 and a 3. So far she has 5, and Unearthly Melt I think only has 1. That's a shocker, right? But next, let's talk about the Gemini 2. So I will say this is a 10 out of 10 for the packaging on this one. I love the new packaging they came out with on this one along with the original one. I bought the bundle with the 2 new ones because if you all remember, after a while the glue broke off on my original Gemini palette and it's like flopping and loose. So I've never had that happen with Hayden's packaging either, so I felt like that was something to mention. Can I buy that palette, or do I still have that palette? I feel like I still have it. Hold close. Oh yeah, here it is. So see what I'm saying? Like, it's completely come loose from the baseboard, like the grooves has dried out. I don't know if I've had it for too long. I don't know if it's the conditions I had it in, but you all remember when it came to the Smoke Sessions palette, they had a whole bunch of issues going on with that as well. So I took a whole bunch of shades out of a whole bunch of other palettes, and that's what's in here. So it looks like a weird like rust version of the rust palette to me, with all those things I added in here as opposed to taking it out. But like, yeah, it's just I had to get a new one, or else, you know, like I couldn't really use it properly. So anyway, about this color story. Now this color story is nice. The only thing is, again, I feel like lately I haven't been liking the fact that they do so much grunge, because it's like these shades are kind of super light for my skin tone. So as far as I'm concerned, these are 2 shades I can't use unless I'm just going to use them on my brow bone and keep it moving. Then you got these deeper ones, and again, all the shimmers in here are deep, and then all the green shades are deep. So it's like I have to do nothing but a grungy deep green eye. Whereas you saw with Hayden's palette, I got different variations of green mattes, I got different variations of these mattes, and I got like a brighter shimmer that I could use in the inner corner as well as on the lid as like a double take if I need to, which I prefer that as opposed to this. So it's not that I don't mind this color story, because I'm still going to give it a point for the color story and a point for the packaging. It's just more of, I feel like lately that's all they've been doing is a whole bunch of deep grungy mattes and deep dark shimmers, and I prefer to have a mixture of both as opposed to quite a few lighter mattes and a whole bunch of deep shimmers. That's just not my personal preference, but the color story is nice and the packaging is nice, so they're still gonna get a 2. So Hayden has 5 and Melt has 3. So Melt is still behind, I know, right? Shocking, but you know, like, I just have to be honest about the color stories and what I feel about them and what I feel about them. So next we have the Not Normal palette from Unearthly Cosmetics. She changed her name from Alien Cosmetics to Unearthly Cosmetics because of, I heard it was a lawsuit or something. I'm not 100% sure. I figure if you watch some of the YouTubers who actually get PR from the brand, they might know a little bit more than I do. But I'm assuming it was legal reasons that she had to change the name, which is why it's Unearthly Cosmetics now instead of Alien Cosmetics like you see on my packaging. But we're putting it up against my Beetlejuice Recently Deceased palette. So let's open them both up and see what both of them look like. If you've been to my channel, you probably have already seen both of them together, because I've done a main chick side chick on these. I don't think I've done a battle of the using both these side by side. I'm pretty sure I used this with the Trio Chrome instead, if I remember correctly. But here's what both the palettes look like side by side. So again, you can see Melt's color story is somewhat similar to this one, but I feel like Hayden gives you like more everyday wearable tones alongside with like the fun colorful stuff that Beetlejuice has going on in here. So Here's what both of them look like side by side. As usual, we're going to start off with Unearthly. I'm going to talk about it. So, color story, again, 10 out of 10 because it gives you some nice neutrals that you can use. You can take this and this row right here and make a nice neutral moment. If you want more of a green punchy moment, you can take this part right here in the middle and use that and have this purple accent your inner corner, or just use this to accent your inner corner. And then if you want to do more purple look, you can take this little section right here, that little shimmer right there, and have you a nice little moment. So I feel like she did a good job of people who like greens, purples, and then people who still want to be able to pull some neutrals in when they need to. If you want to just use like this purple to pop a color underneath your lower lash line, you can, to go with this everyday neutral look. If you want to make a smoky neutral look, you can. If you want to make an everyday like look, you can, because you can put this on your outer V. You can use these two shades right here. So I feel like she did a good job with this one as far as having fun, colorful color story, kind of like the Beetlejuice palette, but at the same time still giving you everyday wearable to go along with it, because I guess she realized that, you know, palettes are expensive, and although, you know, a Beetlejuice color story is nice, everybody who people who work in corporate America and stuff like that can't necessarily use it, but might still like to have color in their collection every now and again. So that's what this palette symbolizes to me, and I think she did an excellent job with it as usual. So this is getting a 3 for me. Again, with the packaging, she always has fun, unique packaging. She always finds a indie artist to shout out and help out and give exposure to by letting them design her palettes. I really like that about the brand as well. So this one's going to get another 3 for me, and the price point is really good on as well. So we're giving 1 for price point, 1 for artwork, and 1 for the color story and formula. So this means that Hayden has 8, whereas Milk only has 3. Now let's get into this. Now y'all know the package is 10 out of 10 of this. This neon green acrylic is everything. It's so cool. They took a page out of Huda Beauty's book, or they might have did this before Huda Beauty. Don't quote me. I don't honestly remember. But the inside insert from the movie is just so cool. But I mean, I know Beetlejuice is one of their favorites because one of the owners has Beetlejuice literally tattooed on her arm. So it's like they're all here for it and all in for it. I will say I really like this color story. However, like I feel like there's not enough variation in these purples for it to make sense. And then they didn't give you like any dark mattes to go in with. So unless you just take like this deep matte purple and go with this acid green in your crease, and then use like one of the 2 lighter shimmers in here, because again with the shimmers they don't have that whole thing. I mean, I like the color story and I make it work for me. It's just that's something you have to think about, because it's like they don't give you a lot of variety because they only put 8 shades in here, and then they put more of just green and purple. And if you know, like I want to do, I mean obviously if I want to do any other kind of look, I can't do it with this palette. I have to pull in other palettes, whereas with the Unearthly one I can. So I'm still going to give it like all 3 points though, because the packaging is amazing. It's a nice color story for more of a monochromatic feel if that's what you're going for. So this one's going to get a 3. So Hayden's at 5 and they're at 4, so they're getting pretty close now. But the sad part is we've ranked like 3 palettes. So these are the 2 palettes we're going to use side by side to compare these brands. So the last one I have is the Witching Hour. Unfortunately, they do not make this one anymore, but this was the one that matched with the newest milk palette I planned on using. This is the Mariposa. Well, you know, like newest holiday collection palette, because I can't pick through the monochromatic ones. Hayden only has one monochromatic palette that would match those that came in the Halloween collection, and that's not available anymore either. So I just decided to go with these 2. So that's what we're going with, okay? Okay, I'm sorry. That's it. So let me show you what the Witching Hour looks like alongside the Mariposas one. So here's what they look like. I felt like they looked similar enough for us to try to get a color story out of it, because you got to think it has like these orangish shades in here. There are orangey shades in here. You have the purple and pink. You have purples and coalish shades in here. And it has the green row at the top, and there's a green row in here. So I feel like these would be the 2 that would be best to be compared to each other. So that's why I chose these. So again, we're going to start off with Unearthly as usual. I really like this palette. This is another one of my most reached for palettes when it comes to the brand, because again, I like the way she set up the color story, the way she set up the color story with what's the brand? Like Blend Bunny. It's like you got these colors that you know will go together for people who have a hard time putting colors together. Again, you know all these oranges will go together perfectly, and then you know that this will go together perfectly. This actually gives me vibes that it would be a good palette mashup to go with the Halloween palette from what is Betty Jean and Shroud Part 2. So I'm actually gonna see if I can battle these together, or like palette mash up these together, a palette combination, or whatever you like to call it. I call it 2 or 3 different names as you just saw, but I really love this color story. I'm sad that she didn't make this a permanent palette, but I understand if it's supposed to be her Halloween collection for last year, which I'm assuming it was, since she had a fall palette come out after this. I really like the color story. I really like the formula. I like the fact that you can pull these shades out. So it's nice. Now the packaging isn't as nice as her other packaging, so I'm not gonna necessarily rank the packaging So we're going with the color story and the price point. The price point of this was pretty nice considering how big her pans are. The color story is really nice, so I'm gonna say this gets a 2. So Hayden already had I think 8 and Milk Cosmetics had 5. So that means Hayden has what, like 10 now. And then let's get into this one. So it's 10 against 5. Now let's open the inside of this. Now the formula on this is fine. I mean, I'm not necessarily feeling the fact that they're into these circle pans, but it seems like that's what they're doing now, because if you notice, the Halloween, the Christmas collection this year has circle pans as well. So I don't know if they're getting less product in it and still being able to charge the same, and that's why they're making these circle pans as opposed to the ones that they used to make, because they had to put more product in it and it was cutting in on profit. Not 100% sure, just a theory, so don't quote me on it. It's just my opinion. But I not necessarily excited about the way they changed it. And aside from the fact, if you notice, they make a lot of similar color stories. Like I've showed this in the past, where you show, like when I did the video on if you really need the holiday palettes, the bad side Zodiac ones, because I showed this palette alongside some of those, and then I showed some other palettes from them that had similar color stories. So I feel like with this one, it's just a repeat of a lot of color stories they already have, and lately I feel like they've been doing that a lot with the Zodiac collection too. So I don't know if I'm necessarily excited about the color story, just because it's like there's this whole row of ash that I can't even use, because we know I don't use shades like this, and at best I'd use this on my brow bone to go with like an orange look or something. But there's a whole row of stuff that I literally can't use because I'm not using these shimmers. Maybe as inner corner to go with this row, but it's like there's shades in here that I'm not going to use, and for the price of this palette I feel like I should be able to use every single shade in here. So the best thing to me about this is the packaging. So I'm going to give the packaging a 1, but I wasn't necessarily crazy about the color story because they've done these colors in so many different palettes over. Like you got the baby girl stack, then you got the She's and Party stack for the like bearish tones down here, or this row down here could just be similar to the air palettes that they just came out with. Then you got all these greens. How many times have they done greens? I can think of Smoke Session, I can think of 420, I can think of some other palettes. So it's like the color story isn't 100% there for me, aside from the fact this row right here just isn't giving it. So I'm gonna give 1 for the packaging. People weren't feeling the price point on this either, because if you noticed, it ended up going on sale for like, I think like 28 bucks, because people were not feeling the 70 whatever dollar price range they were charging for this. So this is only gonna get 1, which means so far Melt is really far behind. They'd have to step it up, and even if they do it, I feel like they're still not gonna like win, unless the Witching Hour palette lets me down, which I don't think it is. I feel like Unearthly has already beat them, but we still gonna do the battle. We still gonna do the eyes. It's just not looking good for Melt, and I never thought I'd see a day where I had to do that. But I mean, like, realistically, we got to be fair, and with all the things I named and all the times they've done the color stories in this last one, that we've got to battle against this one, it's like it's kind of not fair for me to be like, oh, I'm still gonna give them all these points when we know you've seen this like 3 and 4 times over from them. So I'm zoom you on in real quick and cute like girl. I'm going to go off camera. I'm trying to decide what I had to do off camera. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the Unearthly one off camera, and then we can see how the expensive bougie 70s, because I feel like this was $76 palette performed on my eye, and then we'll see, you know, how it works out. So I'll be right back, girl. Okay, girl. Okay, y'all. So here's the swatches of the shades we're gonna use from the Unearthly palette versus the Melt palette. So I did Unearthly, then Melt, Unearthly, Melt, Unearthly, Melt, Unearthly, and then Melt. So everything swatched pretty much fine. The only issue I had swatches with was this one. I had to mix a whole bunch of shades to try to get a shade that was similar to this, and as you can see, it's still not giving. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do when it comes to that shade. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I'm gonna probably mix 2 shades together to try to get close to this shade, because if y'all remember in the Melt palette, I told y'all like it was giving ash when it came to the shades that were transitional for my skin tone. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm even about to make this work. And then the orange in the Melt palette are much deeper than the one in the Unearthly, so I'm interested about that as well, because I was gonna put it on the lid and then drag it in the inner corner, but we'll see how it goes. So we're gonna start with the Melt palette, the Unearthly palette on this side and the Melt palette on this side, and we're gonna start with the crease shade. So let me get me some cute little brushes to crease shade. I have a couple of brushes that are the exact same, so I'm trying to grab all the brushes that are the same and, like, you know, use those in this video. So it's fair, and you can't be like, oh, well, that brush is different than that one, and they're like, girl, no, it's the exact same brush. So I'm trying to grab the exact same brushes for as many as I have to make sure this gets done. That's the only reason I hate filming these videos, because it's like I don't have 2 of the same brush, or 2 of the same brushes and clean, and I'm kind of like, you'll be like, oh, well, that's not the same, and you shouldn't count, and just like, girl. Well, we're gonna take a shade Cord, start off on this side, just over here in the crease. And remember, this is the Unearthly eye from the Witching Hour palette. as you can see, we just have this nice color that blends in quite well with my skin tone, which I'm definitely here for and loving. And then we're gonna have to get into the other shade that does not work for my skin tone at all, and figure out, you know, what I'm gonna do, because I had to mix, like I'm telling y'all, mix like 4 different shades just to get that shade that still didn't match the shade that's on my lid now. So I was just like, I'm gonna take this clean brush and dust over everything that we got going on now. Just start off with, but starting off with Hayden got us a nice transition color, and they got a row of ash that I can't do anything with. So yeah, it's not looking well, it's not looking good. Let me grab a shade and see what I can work with. I'm going to take, so I got a little reddish shade, and then I'm taking this like little light orangey shade, and we're gonna see how that goes. So I'm mixing this shade and this shade to see what we get as far as like a crease shade, because I'm like, right now I just have no hope. And as you can see, it's running quite red because that shade is quite red, and that orangey twinge I tried to put into it to make it closer to the shade that Hayden has still isn't, you know, making it to the cut. So I'm working what I got, girl. But I told y'all, the thing I don't like about Tally is I don't have much as far as the transition shade. So it's like it has to be a reddish type shade as opposed to close to my skin tone with Hayden's palette. So just bear that in mind. Like I had to mix 2 shades just to try to emulate hers, because if I had just went in with this light shade, girl, I look ashy and crazy. But I'm putting that shade on top of this one, trying to make it as light as I possibly can, make it as close as I possibly can. The shade that Hayden just gave me naturally, that works better with my skin tone. I mean, it's somewhat working, but you can clearly see the red in it, because I mean, like, again, that's all I had to choose from. So this side is just gonna be more reddish. So we just have to get over it, girl, and move on and free ourselves with. But yeah, so this is the melt side, and this is that one. I think I did a pretty good job, all things considering, and it's blending out quite nicely and easy. But again, it's a holiday palette, so the holiday palettes have a tendency to be like the best formula they have all year long. So that's what I'm working with. I just realized I never took the plastic off this mirror. I guess I should be glad I didn't. Now we're gonna get into our outer V shades. Y'all know the drill. I love me good outer V shade. I think I got a couple of brushes I can use for this. So I have 2 of the same brush. I just need to find the brush, and then I got 2 of the same brush for the lid. So I just need to find both those. So we're gonna use BK Beauty brushes for that. I'm gonna use the BK Beauty 206 brush to put both the shades on the outer V, since I have 2 of those. And then we're gonna use the BK Beauty 203 brush to put the shimmers on the lid. So I just need to find the other BK Beauty brushes real quick. I'm finding the oh, here it is. That's my other 206. I just need to find my other 203. Worst comes to worst, I'll just take another brush, because I have a brush that's similar to that by another brand if I can't find this one, or I'll just take these 2 ColourPop brushes if I can't find it and do that. So I'm pull out the 2 ColourPop brushes. Then when we get there, if I can't find the other BK Beauty brush, then we'll just use the, you know, oh, here it is. Okay, so I'll put these ColourPop in the back place. Yeah, so I'm going to put the red in the crease, so I need to get a brush for that as well. I have 2 other BK Beauty brushes, but I think they're from, what is it, Hot and Flashy, I think her name is. The lady that came up with these brushes is, yeah, Angie Hot and Flashy. So I have a 504 brush. We're gonna use 2 of those. Let's put these crease shades in. So back to our Unearthly Witching Hour palette. We're gonna take the shade right here now for the purple and put that on the outer V. That's the shade Potion. So we're taking that now and we're starting to pat it out here on the outer V. As you can see, the pigmentation picked up quite nicely. I don't know why this battery is down so quick. I have literally shot like, I think 1 video, y'all, and one video and 1 intro, and it's already done. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? But anyway, as you can see, it's blending quite nicely and easy. It's a great, gorgeous shade of purple here. Let me go get a battery to film with before this dies. It pisses me off. Then we'll come back and grab the melt palette, but it's just blending out so nicely and smoothly till you see I'm just sitting here like, la la, I need to change the battery, but it's blending so nicely and looks so pretty, la la. But that's what we're working with right now for this. Let me go off camera, change the battery, and then we're gonna get into the purple shade down here called Noob in the melt palette. Be right back. Okay, y'all, let's get into this melt palette now. It's purple shade called Noob. I'm sad now because when I swatched it to show you all the thing, now the butterfly is damaged. And I'm like, no, the pretty butterfly, no. But you know, we knew it was gonna happen eventually, so paid to use the color, so I was eventually gonna use it to the point where the butterflies will disappear. But I'm trying my damn to hold on. I'm liking that this purple is a little bit deeper than the one in the Unearthly one, but I can appreciate both purples. Plus, we know I just love purple, so I like the fact there's different gradients of purples in each palette, so that way I don't have too much of the same. I mean, having a lot of purple, I don't feel like a lot of people are unique in their variations of purple. Although I will give Glamlight their props, like their purple palette was definitely unique. The wine palette, it has some unique and fun purple that I feel like I haven't seen in a lot of palettes. That and the Menagerie Violet Ink palette, I feel like they give fun, unique purples that a lot of people don't. Like, a lot of people just do generic purple, so I can give them their props on that. I think they do an excellent job when it comes to that. So, anyway, this purple is blending out smoothly and wonderfully and looks just nice and airbrushed, as you can see, just like this side. So both sides look nice and airbrushed. It's just a question of color, and as you can see, this one is a tad bit deeper than this one, so I like it more in the outer view because it's a tad bit deeper. But I like Hayden's transition color a little bit better because obviously it matches my skin better, and I have mixed 2 or 3 shades with Hayden's in order to make it work for me. So I can appreciate that. So just take the brush, dust la la, dust la la. Now let's go into our crease shade. So the crease shade that we have is, what is it? Scarring. This one right here. And we're going to take the 504 brush from OPV Beauty and put that in our crease. So let's get to it. It's a nice, cute raspberry vibe to the look. I feel like these are not as was a nice color combination, and I was trying to use a good amount of colors as opposed to like 1 or 2 colors in each palette, and feeling like it's not fulfilled. So I tried to give you like 3 to 4, so you know, really test out some shades and really give us like some color and dimension to this look, because y'all know I will live for a colorful moment. I'm trying to decide if we should use glitter glue on the lid or not. I'm feeling like we should, so I'm probably gonna go ahead and do that, because from what I remember, I feel like Hayden's shimmer didn't glide on as smoothly and nicely as the one from Melt, so I want to give it some help in that regard. Okay, so here's what we're working with the Unearthly palette. Again, with the clean brush, honey. And here's how we're looking. So now we're gonna go into the Milk palette. I'm gonna take this red shade right here, Curler, and we're gonna go ahead and start putting this in the crease for the Melt side. Now this is definitely giving a more red vibe, where I feel like hers gives a more fuchsia pink vibe. So I like the vibe of hers just a little bit more, but because this purple is deeper, I'm liking the red with the Melt for that reason. So both of them work with both color stories of each palette, so I'm liking that. But I just feel like I should point out, even though, I mean, you have eyes, you can clearly see that this looks more red than that does. It's giving more like true like red, and the Unearthly one is giving more pink, fuchsia pink. So should I drop a brush now? I'm always dropping brushes, and when I feel something on my lap, I'm like, oh yeah, I just dropped a brush, because you know, always dropping a brush. So again, clean brush, just over this. I think it's giving us a pretty similar tone. You know, I feel like unless you're close up on me, you wouldn't be able to tell that this is fuchsia and this is more red, and that this purple is a little bit deeper than that purple. Like, because from distance, while I'm sitting back from here, I feel like I can't see in the camera, so I figure that means you can't either. That's why I'm coming up close so you can see the detailing what I'm talking about. Okay, y'all, so let's get to these lid shades. These cute little orange moments that we're gonna drag into the inner corner and put on the lid. So I'm gonna take my cute little glitter glue and have a glitter glue moment. Just because, like I said, if I remember correctly, I feel like Hayden's shimmers in this palette didn't stick that well, so I want to give them something to stick onto. The Melt ones blended out smooth, so I feel like they'd be fine, but you know, I want to give both brands a fighting chance, and a lot of times I use glitter glue anyway, so I figure y'all wouldn't care. Yeah, I use glitter glue and cut my crease a lot of times, so I didn't think it would be too big an issue and anybody would care too much, so that's why we're doing it. Yay, yay, yay. So let's take our 203 from BK Beauty and start patting this on the lid. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pat it on the lid as opposed to trying to spread it across like I would typically do, because I feel like this orange is quite like stiff and difficult to work with, just from what I remember with this palette. So patting it on, I feel like it'll give it a better chance of getting the pigmentation, and then trying to blend it across after you have the pigmentation to work best. That's what I remember about this one particular shade, because I feel like the green and the purple was fine. It was just the orange I had difficult with. I don't know if it ended up getting hard pan after me using it a couple of times or what, but it wasn't the easiest to work with. I remember that. But since I don't really like orange that much, it wasn't that big a deal to me. But the oranges are the only things I felt like would somewhat match in this palette, so I had to use the orange, unfortunately. And it's not the easiest to use. I feel like it's difficult to work with, so unfortunately, because it's a stunning palette, and I feel like it has not a lot of good qualities. But the orange just, honey, the orange just brings it down. It just brings it down. Because it doesn't give what it needs to give. Sorry, I'm so used to this eye already being done off camera until I'm already like turned the other way where you can see the other eye, even though we're doing this one. So the adjustment I'm having to make, I'm sorry. I'm not doing it with malicious intent. Okay, so this is what the orange is looking like, and as you can see, it's just a classic little sunset eye moment. I'm gonna go back in with the fuchsia shade just to bring some more of that back, because I feel like the shimmery orange kind of covered it up, and I still want you to see some of it. So just along the edges where the shimmer is starting to rise up into the crease is where I'm putting it in there. So I'm going to take the brush that has the crease color on it and dust it over here to help airbrush this stuff as well. I'm trying to do all the brushes that will help airbrush it, and then take the classic clean brush and dust over it. I'm probably going to go in with the purple a little bit on the outer V, so let's do that real quick. Take the purple and kind of just dust in to kind of airbrush the shimmer onto and make it look less harsh where I use the glitter glue. That's why a lot of times I like to go back in with my mattes to help with that part as well. So, and then sometimes I just take the brush and lightly dust over the edges as well too, to try to make it all look transitional and nice. So there's that. And this is our done eye with the Unearthly palette. Let me just pop the orange in the inner corner real quick to finish up the look, since we put both the oranges in both eyes, because nothing else is matching. And there we go. So I give this look a, well, we're gonna rank each color with one number, with a 1. So obviously the orange for the inner corner is fine, but for the lid, no. So it's gonna get a 3, because I like the transition shade on this side, I like the purple on this side, and I like the crease color on this side. It's just the shimmer that's lacking for me. So they get 3 more points. Now let's get into the melt side and cut the crease so we can get the shimmer on the lid here. I didn't do this lid because I didn't know how long it's gonna take with the Unearthly side, and I didn't want it to like dry up and then not be fair to them, because it's getting a fresh coat of glitter glue. So I feel like this side should get a fresh coat of glitter glue as well, and not have had tried to dry down. So that's what we're doing. Okay, so where's my last brush? Oh, I'm sitting on it as usual. Now we're gonna go into the orange shade in this one, Mariposa. And it's a very bright neonish looking orange. So I'm not expecting to look the same in that regard, because I feel like Hayden using more neon. I mean, using more like, I guess, bright iridescent type orange, and they use more of like a neon orange, like you'd find the Huda neon orange palette. That's the vibe that their orange gives me versus the vibe that Hayden's orange gives me. As you can see, this one's gliding on. I'm not having any difficulty with it. I feel like with the one on the Unearthly side, I had to like work at it a little more. For this one, I'm just kind of like making sure I coated all the places that have glitter glue on them, so when I go back, it's not any issue with that. And I don't even feel like I need to like blend the outer V like I had to do on this side because it had the harsh glitter glue line. So I don't even think I'm going to do that. I mean, if I do, I'm not going to add any product like I did with that side. I would just go ahead and use the purple, but I'm not going to add any product. I'm literally just going to dust over it with what's already on the brush, just to make sure it looks even. I don't feel like I need to go into the crease too much either and do that one. So again, I will go into the crease, but I'm not going to add any product to it just because, you know, I don't feel like I need to. Like, I can just dust over what's already on the brush and bring it back. On Hayden's side, I feel like I had to do all that extra stuff, but on this side, I don't feel like I have to. I'm gonna take my clean brush now and dust into this, and then we're gonna go into the shimmer in the inner corner and, you know, do that. Well, how long has this been blurry, child? Pay attention. Yeah, so now we're gonna go in that orange in the inner corner of this side as well, and just pop it in there real quick and keep my pop that in there. So here's what we looking like. Let me zoom y'all all out and we can talk about my thoughts on this palette. Okay, girl? Okay, y'all. So as far as the battle one, I feel like we already know who won the battle just based upon how many points Unearthly was already ahead. But I feel like Melt literally just missed it by like, what, like maybe 1 or 2 points or something like that, because I wasn't feeling Hayden's orange in this palette. I feel like it's really difficult to work with. It was hard pressed in the pan, and then I feel like all the Melt mattes glided on much smoother than the Unearthly palette. But in all fairness, it's like there are more shades in it, and the price point of it is so much higher, so it needs to perform a whole lot better than Hayden's, in my personal opinion, since they charge so much more than Hayden was charging, and they have similar color stories. So I'm gonna say that Unearthly Cosmetics won this battle. However, I feel like Melt was like maybe 2 or 3 points off. Like if they hadn't fumbled the bag with the prices on some of the palettes and the quality that they were giving in the palettes, then maybe I feel like they would have like won, or at least it'd have been like tied, and I'd have been like, I can't decide. But based upon them not being able to, you know, like give the quality consistently the way Hayden does, and me only having a problem with one shimmer out the entire palette, even though I had perfectly done all these, it's like this is a high price point for this palette when I can get a palette like this with a similar color story for less. So it's like, and then there's a whole row that I can't use in the Melt palette, as y'all saw. I had to mix with other stuff in order for it to be a crease shade that would even work for me to use with, to battle with these palettes. So I'm gonna say that Unearthly won. Like I said, and they only won by 2 or 3 points, but however they did win, in my opinion. You can comment down below and tell me your thoughts on this battle. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be blessed, girl. Bye.